Hey everybody, what's going on? Dr. Jeff Langmaid here with the Evidence-Based Chiropractor and the Smart Chiropractor, and we are about to talk about email. We're going to break it down, and you might be thinking, isn't email super old school? Answer to that is yes, it's been around since the beginning of the internet. But the second question is email still effective? The answer to that is absolutely yes. I'm going to show you inside of some of what we've done with Chiro emails, which is a part of the Smart Chiropractor. I'm going to show you some of the stats that our docs have been getting. Also, I'm happy to answer any questions that you have whatsoever regarding email marketing in your practice. So feel free to leave any questions down below, or just let me know where you're from. Let me know who is out there. Give me a thumbs up. Give me some likes. I always love that because then I know people are actually on the other end of this camera. But right now we're going to break down, I'm going to share my screen in just a moment. We're going to talk all about email marketing. And I know a lot of docs out there just have such a crazy difficult time staying consistent, right? And this might be you, and I'd love to hear from you if this is you, like sending one newsletter a month or one a quarter. And those newsletters tend to be focused on your practice, not on the benefits that you're providing the patient, right? Features versus benefits. You want all of your copy to be benefit driven. How do you help them live a better life? And it's typically not relative to your new hours or the new tool that you got or the new technique necessarily. It's more about directly how are you impacting their life and making their life better. The clearer you are on that messaging, the better off that you'll be. So that's just some high-level best practices. But the bottom line is what we've seen within Chiro emails and what we've seen within the Smart Chiropractor is that a cadence of a weekly email is a very, very good cadence to touch people with, right? So when people are accustomed to receiving something from you each and every week that's engaging, it's entertaining, and ultimately it stimulates an action, right? An activation comes from an action. Then you're really setting yourself up for consistent and predictable results instead of just like, okay, well, we'll send an email whenever we happen to think about it, right? Not the best way to go about it. What you really, really want to do is have a consistent cadence. Within the Smart Chiropractor, we call that teach and invite consistently, right? It's about teaching something each and every time. Gary Vaynerchuk would call this jab, 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 right hook, right? It is about teaching something and then, and then inviting them to take a step, right? And do that consistently. If you're just doing it every once in a while, it's not going to work. But if you do that consistently, if you're teaching and inviting, here's something you can or should know that I know can impact and benefit your life. And now I'm going to invite you to take the next step, whether that's click, whether that's call, whatever it might be. When you do that consistently, that's when you'll start to see like haphazard results or sort of the yo-yo of your marketing really start to stabilize. That's what we've seen time and time again. Personally, I send over 100,000 emails a month. So we have really good information and really good data about email marketing and how you can utilize it effectively. Everything from subject line to body and copy to cadence, you name it. We sort of geek out and really, take to heart all of that data and make sure we line it up in the best way possible so that you can get the best results possible. Now, within Chiro emails and the Smart Chiropractor, none of our docs have to worry about any of that. That's what we're here for, right? Is we automate all of that marketing for them. We write the subject lines. We write the body copy. We create the calls to action. All they have to do is one time go in, enter like your practice name, the email address from and to, where you want the buttons to link to. And all of that gets ported over and set up for you. So it's super, super cool. We'll take a look at that in a moment. But bottom line is email marketing still works. It can generate 3, 5, 8, 10, depending upon the size and the engagement of your list. We have seen 3, 5, 10, up to a dozen or more patient activations each and every week, very, very consistently. And we also recently built out what we call the Success Blast email. And that's sort of the kickstart, right? So one of the big things, if you haven't been emailing your list, is, you don't want to just come out of the blue with something, right? You want to warm them up to it. We've seen that, and we call it our Success Blast, and we've seen a ton of great results from that because basically the Success Blast, we'll look at it in a moment when I share my screen, the Success Blast does two things. It's a 2 email sequence. Basically what it does is email 1 is all about focused on direct response copy. It is, built for patient activations. It is built for the people who know, trust, and like you, those people on your email list, to raise their hand and say, I'm ready to book or schedule an appointment, right? So that's email number 1. Email number 2 is sort of that transitional email. So it lets them know, hey, we're going to be teaching and inviting consistently. Be on the lookout for our weekly Research That Matters emails. Here's why it is important to you. And please head over to our Facebook page and engage on there as well, which gives you the opportunity to use a custom audience and all of that fun stuff. So not to get super technical with that, but the Success Blast email sequence, super critical, and we have seen ridiculously great results from our docs, including Dr. Newbaum, and we're going to show his stats in a moment here. He sent out the Success Blast email to a portion of his list, not even his whole list. He kind of segmented it, is what we call it. And he was able to generate over a dozen phone calls. I think it was 14 patient activations. He was literally like, dude, I clicked the button to send the email, and our phone and scheduler started to fill up. I can tell you right now, that's always a good feeling, but especially right now, that's a really, really good feeling. So we'll take a look at what his stats looked like. And again, I'm happy to answer any questions whatsoever regarding email marketing. Feel free to leave them down below. So I'm going to share my screen here real quick, and we'll take a look. So these were Reed's stats, right? So this is an important component of it. He sent this email to about 430 individuals, right? 430 sends. He had over 200 unique opens and about 652 total opens. So we had a lot of people opening that email multiple times. That's a good thing because they were definitely engaged with it. His bounce rate, 4%, a little bit high, but not unsurprising if he hadn't been emailing his list. A couple hundred unopens there. Bottom line with this is we're 51% of all recipients open so far. You see 51%. A great email open rate for chiropractors for healthcare is about 20, 25% absolute max. If you're shooting even 15%, you're doing pretty good. So 50% open rate is something I haven't seen in quite a few years. So that was awesome. The other thing we saw is an 18% click-through rate. A 5% click-through rate is typically a pretty good click-through rate. 5 to 8% is what you should shoot for. Like 8% is like, we're doing great. 5% is you're doing pretty good. 2%, something's fishy. So he's at 18%. That's incredible. And out of those 39 people that clicked through, he was able to generate about 14 patient activations. 0 people marked it as spam. So you can see right here up in this green area, when he sent it, his opens and his click-throughs were hot in the beginning, and he got some later on as well. But this is where he literally was clicking it, and within an hour or so, he's watching his scheduler fill up. That is an exciting feeling, and I'm glad we were able to be a part of it. So these are just some stats, right? These are real stats screen grabbed from within Chiro emails, as you'll see in a moment. So 50% open rate, absolutely crushing it. 18% click-through rate, absolutely crushing it. The gist of it is that it resulted in over a dozen patient activations, which is awesome and really, really impactful. Now let's take a look over into that. So this is my test account within Chiro emails. So I have pretty much most of the bells and whistles, but there are a couple little different changes compared to my kind of Playbox account and some of the live accounts. With Chiro emails, a lot of times we get questions about, well, is it kind of like MailChimp? Is it like Constant Contact? Do I need those things? This basically takes over for all that. So we've built Chiro emails, as you can see here, from the ground up, and it is built not only as an email automation tool, so you hit the button once and multiple emails go out. You do one action and the system does the work. But it's not only that, we've built out all of that content. And that's really the magical component to it. Is it's not just, okay, the automations are one thing, right? Automations are super important. Like email 1 goes out at this day and time, email 2 goes out at this day and time, email 3 goes out at this day and time. And not having to click each time, or you just set it up once, you put the person in at the top, and then they get through and go through all those different email sequences. That's what automation does. It saves you a ton of time. But the second step on that is like, okay, cool, like setting up the automation is one thing, but what are we having for emails? What are we using for subject line? What are we talking about? Within Chiro emails, we build all of that out for all of our members, which is, again, one of the reasons why we've seen such crazy success, and it's been so super impactful. So if we click around to a few things here, I just want to show you around, we have all of our insights tab. So this is where we saw reads information. So this is mine. Again, this is just sort of my play account. So you can just see, you could absolutely get all of the stats that you're accustomed to: campaign performance, what's the delivery rate, 100%, oh my goodness, open rate, click-through rate, etc. But then if you wanted to see any detailed performance, you could just go down. So I'll click here. I just want to show you that what we were looking at earlier. See, this looks exactly like what we were looking at with Reed's email. This is a different one, and it was mine. 100% open so far. Oh my goodness. But this is just my test account. But Reed's was over 50%, which is awesome. You'd have access to all of this. And I'd encourage you, if you're utilizing MailChimp or you're utilizing Constant Contact, keep an eye on your stats. Like, check out your insights. It is really, really important to know, are your emails getting through? And here's the thing. If your open rate is really low, then you have a subject line issue. I'll say that again. If your open rate is low, then you have a subject line issue. It's not enticing enough for people to click based on your subject line. So if your open rate's low, if you can't get through the subject line, if they're not opening the email, they can't take any actions. The second part about it is if your click-through rate is low, and open rate, ideally, you'd like to be 15, 20% or more. Again, we've had docs get 50% with what we're doing, but 15% is actually industry standard, just to put that in perspective. But if you're lower than that, then your subject line has some issues. If your click-through rate is less than 5%, and I'll bring back Reed's here. If your click-through rate, so he's at 18%. If your click-through rate is less than 5%, then you have a CTA problem. You have a call to action problem. The call to action is either unclear, there's too many options, but something's going on where they're not converting. And a conversion on email is just a click-through. Are they taking the action, that next step that you'd like them to take? Are they accepting your invitation, right? Teach and invite consistently. If you want to put it in perspective, teach, you can almost think of as your subject line, right? Is it enticing enough to get them the opportunity to have an invitation, right? So your subject line, super compelling. Make sure that you are open. Your open rates are 15% or more. Your click-through rate, if it's less than 5%, then your invitation stinks, right? Then your call to action is not working. And that could either be because the copy does not match the call to action. You bait and switch them, in other words. Is the subject line, did that not match the copy? Are there too many options that you've given them? These are all things that can tank an invitation or a click-through. And those are all just some key things to keep in mind as you kind of look through it. So insights, incredibly important. Hopefully there's some value there. If you're watching right now and you think that that is interesting and it gave you value, let me know. Comment down below. I love doing these live things and geeking out on marketing, but I always like to know that people are out there watching, paying attention, and getting value from it. So click-through rate, 5% or more, ideally. Open rates, 15% or more, ideally. We see docs within Chiro emails with what they're doing with our automated content, absolutely crushing it. 50% opens, 18% click-through, and or more. Now, let's take a look at, from a campaign perspective, what we advocate for, right? So a couple of things here. We built in a complete I won't go too far off topic out of the specific email and success blast, but telehealth, we built out an entire series of telehealth, so our docs are promoting telehealth, automated. We have our weekly research that matters. I'm circling up here. So weekly research that matters, that is the consistent content where we see docs, 3 to 5 patient activations per week, very, very common off of that. And those are the weekly emails, set it and forget it. You don't have to do anything once your patients or your email list doesn't even have to be specifically patients. Your email list on the whole is put into Chiro emails. Those go out every single week to those people. You don't need to do anything whatsoever. And they're all personalized with your practice information, your picture. The call to action or the link for schedule goes to your online scheduler if you have one, which is super, super awesome. So this is a system that works really well. Automated journeys are what we have down here. You can see we got happy birthday greeting. We have a new patient onboarding. I've talked about that pretty in depth in the past. I might do an upcoming video on that one. And then we have our Smart Success Blast. So this is the one where Reed got those crazy, crazy high open rates and click-throughs. So inside our system, this is sort of what it looks like. You can see the journey activity. You can see the cadence. If you want to edit any of it, you can. So let's see here. If you wanted to click length of delay, you can click, okay, do you want it to be 1 day? Do you want it to be a month, a minute? We set all this up for you, so you don't need to mess with it whatsoever. But if you wanted to edit it, you can do so. There's no problem there. So other thing is personalization, right? So our subject line has first name. So when you upload your email addresses, if your first name's Jeff, like mine, then this would say, Jeff, quick question for you, right? So quick question is what you're seeing here. And this was our subject line, quick question. And if you're putting somebody's name in the subject line, it is going to impact your open rates dramatically. There we have the from. This is coming from me because it's my account. This would have your name if it was your account. And then if we go in here to kind of edit the copy, all of our members have the ability to edit anything that they like within Chiro email. So this is the kind of the copy that we utilized. And you can see a big orange button, schedule your next visit. That's the key, right? You can see there's not a million calls to action. It has my picture, my name, but a big orange button to get people accustomed to doing so. And basically what we utilized for that, I'm going to kind of click through and return to the journey. For the copy, we utilized a kind of a long form direct response type copy. So it really was story based in terms of, hey, we recently saw a patient that hadn't been in a while, and they were trying to make time, but they were unable to make the time. Lo and behold, they ended up having this big episode that could have been avoided if they would have listened and paid attention to their body. So very straightforward, right? Not overly complex, but every single word matters, and the cadence of how you do it matters. So you don't want to get sloppy with your emails, especially. People are receiving a lot of email. There's no question about that whatsoever. So the question then becomes, how do you stand out? How do you get them to take action? Well, you do that by teaching and inviting consistently, having great subject lines, and having a really, ideally, a singular, clear call to action. So one of the reasons, again, why on something like that, why Reed was able to get 50% open rates and 18+% click-through and over a dozen patients on his schedule just based upon that single email was the fact that it is crystal clear what the intent is. Number one, the subject line is compelling, right? First name, Jeff, quick question. That's intriguing. I want to know. It's coming from, my chiropractor. What's he want? That's going to get you in the door, right? Then let the email do the work, right? It's going to tell the story, but then make it a very clear story to click here to schedule now. If you do that, you'll see just a dramatic amount of success with your email marketing. Now, the other thing about that is you don't just send that email and cool, email marketing on fleek. It's all done. No, right? You want to absolutely have consistency with your email marketing, which is really where weekly research that matters emails come in. That's what we do. And that's where we've seen, again, 3, 4, 5 activations each and every week. The Success Blast is meant to do exactly that. If you come on board as a member of the Smart Chiropractor, we want to have you get success as quickly as possible. We want high return on investment. We want you to immediately get the automated content going for you. Email is a piece of that. We didn't talk social today. Totally different arm, but all within the Smart Chiropractor. But email is something that we've seen. If we can get that going, which is really, really straightforward, we have it all built out. We just need you to raise your hand to become a member. If you're interested in that, then getting your email set up, critically important, because the Success Blast will get you that initial, right? The goal of the Success Blast is to get you that initial influx of patients, especially if you haven't been emailing your list quite a bit. You can usually get pretty good traction off that first email. But you can't just do that every time. You can't just right hook, as Gary Vaynerchuk would say. You want to be able to jab. And that is where the weekly emails, not monthly, not quarterly, not daily, but that is where the weekly emails come into play, is they give you the opportunity to engage, to entertain, and to ultimately let them take action, to educate, really. So we call that teach and invite consistently. Consistently in the email world, we're talking about once a week. Teach and invite, teach research that matters, right? What's the latest research out there? What's the topic? What's the campaign of the month? What's the topic of the week? Very, very important. That's really what having a marketing strategy will help you with as well, is it prevents you from, okay, it's blank sheet of paper. It's Monday. What am I going to talk about this week in a blank sheet of paper? That's super hard. Like, good luck, because that's very, very difficult. And if you do it one day, it's really impossible to stay consistent. So having a monthly campaign, that's what we build everything out within Smart Chiro and Chiro emails, is a monthly campaign. So for instance, April was all about opioids. May is all about posture. So we have a campaign, and then we have each week is a different take. It's a different angle. It's a different position on that monthly campaign. And then each day we have posts that go out automated to all your various social platforms. But one of the anchors of that outside of social and in office is the email component. And the email component is something I think far too many docs are just, kind of bearish on, I guess, at this point in time. And they just, you've stopped it, you haven't done it, you don't really have a system, you don't really have a process. Maybe somebody in the office does it, but they're kind of just doing it in between whatever else they're doing. If you have a great email system built out that's automated, that does the work for you, and that has great copy built in, it can be a linchpin of your practice marketing, and it will be for years to come. Now, I also want to caution, I know there's a lot of like EHR companies and some other things that sort of send out email. A lot of times that just isn't up to par with what's needed. It's sort of an add-on. It's an afterthought. It's for an appointment reminder. Those things are super, super important. Don't get me wrong. Appointment reminders, critical to your practice success. But it is not the same as having an automated content program used to generate business, not just to remind people of their visit. So a couple different things to keep in mind there. But any questions that you guys have regarding email marketing, I am happy to answer. Feel free to drop them down below or in the comments. And also let me know, are you using email marketing in your practice? If you're not, then we'd love to help you. You can head over to smartchiropractor.com and hop on board. Or if you want to hit me up directly, you can shoot me a message, a DM, or an email, and I'll be sure to hook you up with the best price that we can. Even though we're off of an open enrollment right now, we can probably make some things happen. If you are motivated, then we will be motivated to help you get where you want to be. So I hope you have a great day. Have fun out there. Dive into some email. Rewind this and watch it. I hope there are some gems there that help you with email in your practice. Have a great day. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye. Hey, if you like that video, be sure to subscribe to the Smart Chiropractor. We are posting videos on how you can market your chiropractic practice in a way that teach and invites consistently. We have found that is the magic formula to big time growth. So if you like this video, be sure to comment down below, smash that subscribe button, or visit us at thesmartchiropractor.com.